Thanks for listening to Goddab Radio, a podcast for progressive thinking people. I'm Mad Dog Manser, and I'm here to bring you relevant and honest news and information I find compelling. We cover politics, debunk conspiracy theories, report on cannabis, especially in Oregon, and feature guest interviews regularly. At Goddab Radio, we are ferociously progressive, fiercely skeptical, and forcefully scientific, with a no-nonsense attitude. And this week, we've got a great show in store for you, I believe. We do have an interview later in the show with Chris Holton from Indo Expo. It's going to be going on in Oregon, in Portland, at the Portland Expo Center in August. It is an indoor grow cultivation, mostly indoor, but it's a growing and cultivation exposition with lots of vendors and seminars. And we have a great interview with him in the second half of our show. In this week, we are going to do on conspiracy hypotheses. We are going to debunk some hypotheses on chiropractic medicine. I don't believe in chiropractic medicine, and I never really have, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. We also have, of course, our Carnival Bark section where we talk about Trump, and this week we're covering all the crazy stuff that Trump said about the Paris Climate Accord, and we hear a little bit from Bill Nye as well on that. And then we have some cannabis news before we do our interview with Chris at the end of the show, so we're going to squeeze in a little bit of cannabis news there too. But first we're going to bring you our information on from Rational Wiki on chiropractic medicine. In this week's episode of Conspiracy Hypotheses, we are going to explore chiropractic medicine. Now, I have never been much of a believer in chiropractic medicine, and there's good reasons for that. My father is a physician, a medical doctor, and so was my brother, actually. And my mother actually trained was a nurse when my dad was in medical school years ago. So I have a very medically oriented family, and I never thought chiropractic made a whole lot of sense, other than maybe if you have some spinal pain or something. That would be about maybe the only chance that it might have some sort of help. And as it turns out, I'm right. Chiropractic is a theory and practice of correction of vertebral subluxation processes to treat and cure a supposedly vast array of diseases with no scientifically verified connection to vertebral anatomy. So basically, if you've got the flu, to summarize, they can fix it by adjusting your back. The original medicine believed this. Basically, this means cracking the spine in several places because the spine, being the center of all nerves in the body, is connected to everything. This somehow enables the body to magically heal itself. It was developed in the late 19th century by D.D. Palmer, just before the development of modern medical education in the United States and the shift towards evidence-based medical practice. Thank goodness. Chiropractic is analogous to osteopathy, but where osteopathy chose to join the mainstream following the scientific consensus on theories of disease, human physiology, and so on, to the point that there is little functional difference between a DO and an MD in everyday practice. Chiropractic chose instead to cling to outdated and wrong theories. Some chiropractors have now started to step back from these, but the majority still appear to support the nonsensical chiropractic subluxation, an empirically unverifiable misalignment of the back that Palmer claimed caused disease and which medical science knows it does not. The scientific consensus is that chiropractic manipulation may be as effective as other forms of manual therapy for lower back pain, but that there is a known and documented risk of death due to chiropractic manipulation of the neck. That's a scary thought, folks. I'm just saying. Wow. As well as occasionally killing or disabling its patients, something about which it is in complete denial, of course, the chiropractic profession is notorious for recommending, often with dire warnings, indefinite courses of treatment, where a physiotherapist will try to restore function and discharge a fit patient. A chiropractor will tend to try to keep the patient coming back indefinitely. Much chiropractic continuing education is focused on practice building or sales techniques, essentially. So chiropractic works about as well as mainstream physiotherapy for some conditions. Claims to treat conditions it can't has a tendency to try to bleed you dry and might kill you. The phrase "not recommended" sums this up nicely. The scopes and standards of practice. The public has many different perceptions of chiropractic medicine, as there are few unified standards of practice for it. Most patients seek out chiropractors because they are suffering from back pain. There is some evidence that spinal manipulation is effective for short-term pain control. However, patients also may be drawn towards the pseudoscience end of chiropractic medicine, which has numerous claims of being able to cure childhood colic or even serious illnesses in extreme circumstances. This is attractive to patients for the same reasons as other forms of alternative medicine, such as perceived failures or side effects of mainstream medication, or attraction to the natural aspects of the treatment. The more esoteric claims of chiropractors are perhaps bolstered by the common perception of spinal manipulation being effective for back pain and the studies that support this. Likewise, the public may be fooled by the advertising which presents chiropractors as real doctors, and they may believe that a chiropractor is simply the name for a specialist who treats back or bones, in the same sense that an optometrist treats your eyes. In the U.S., following the passage of Obamacare, chiropractors are trying to have themselves recognized as primary care physicians in many jurisdictions. This is not gaining much traction, which is just as well as they lack most of the skills necessary to function in that capacity. There's no plausible, reasonable way that a chiropractor could be considered a primary care physician. The science is quackery, and there is no, in fact, I don't think they should be allowed to practice in the United States. That's the way I feel. I have educated, smart friends and family that have sought out chiropractic manipulation of their bodies when they have back pain and they feel like it can help them. It's crazy. It's just crazy. The theory of chiropractors, they subscribe to the theory of vertebral subluxation. This differs, that's SUBLUXATION. That is a hard word to say. This differs from the medical definition considerably. An orthopodic subluxation is a painful partial dislocation of a vertebral body. A chiropractic subluxation is an asymptomatic misalignment or a vertebral subluxation complex thought to be a cause of disease. Such a subluxation has never been proven to exist. In July 1996, the Association of Chiropractic Colleges issued a consistent statement that, quote, chiropractic is concerned with the preservation and restoration of health and focuses particular attention on the subluxation. A subluxation is a complex of functional and/or pathological articular changes that comprise neural integrity and may influence organ system function and general health, unquote. You're kidding, right? My God. This hypothesis has never been tested and ignores significant anatomical reality, such as the fact that much of the nervous system does not pass through subluxations in any way at all. This especially applies to the autonomic nervous system that, quote, influences organ system function, unquote. So the nerves that affect your organs don't travel through your spine. Most of them don't. So how is that going to effectively treat you? And I'm sure the folks that are out there getting their chiropractic treatment done and swear by it have to keep going back to the chiropractor over and over to get that treatment and have it be effective. They want you coming back, folks. They want you coming back. Some of the potential harms from chiropractic, okay, just something to consider here. The cost. Chiropractic care costs more than usual care for low back pain. And you're going to have to keep going back over and over and over. Overreach. Many chiropractors claim to treat conditions for which they have no evidence of effectiveness. They may discourage conventional medical care as it is out of line with subluxation theory. And it would cut into their profits, of course. Also, national health systems may route people to chiropractors to delay more effective but expensive therapy that could more appropriately be rendered by physicians. And in very rare circumstances, chiropractic care can be actively dangerous, including causing stroke, carotid artery dissection, and vertebral artery dissection. Although it is possible this is just a correlation. Because we stick to science here on GodDab Radio, and so do medical doctors. But the chiropractic doctors do not. Remember that. They do not follow the scientific method to prove what they're doing to you works or not. You're crazy if you're seeing a chiropractor. I'm telling you right now. It's quackery, and it may make you feel better for a while. But tell me, do you always have to go back to that chiropractor? Not good. Not good at all. I'm just saying. That sounds like Trump right there. Not good. Not good at all. So in summary, there is evidence that chiropractic can help alleviate symptoms of lower back pain. That's all. There is no evidence that it can help with any other medical problems and may, in fact, cause harm. The theory behind chiropractic, specifically subluxation theory, is scientifically unsound. It seems like that much of the benefit of chiropractic comes from the, quote, laying on of hands, unquote, and listening to the patient. There is no reason to believe this is any better than standard massage therapy, which may be considerably safer. I would recommend everybody who has seen a chiropractor for any sort of pain that they see a massage therapist instead. Absolutely. I've seen this massage therapist at least 3 times in my life, and they've been quite awesome experiences. Given the non-scientific theories underlying chiropractic and its poor results, it should be classified as a pseudoscience. Absolutely. So, if my cousin is out there listening to me, who just recently on Facebook asked, does anybody know a good chiropractor out there? Might I suggest to you that since you just got an additional degree from your college you teach at, you should research chiropractic a little more before you go see one. It's really one of the reasons that I did this conspiracy hypotheses segment, was to point that out to her and hopefully change her mind. Maybe a massage therapist would be the right solution for you. I'm just saying. Try that first. All right, and that's it. That's it for our conspiracy section this week. We're going to continue that every week. I really enjoyed doing these segments. There's so many conspiracy theories out there to be debunked that it's going to take a lot of time, and we're never going to be short for subjects on our show, no doubt about it. But you know what it means. You know what it's time for. It's Time for Carnival Barks, our weekly Trump roundup where we highlight recent alternative facts from the so-called president. A segment where we point out the absurdities, lies, and blunders coming from Trump and his inept administration. This week we bring you news on his pulling out of the Paris Accords, of course. What else are we going to talk about but this buffoonish move made by our so-called president? In Paris, in Belgium last week, he met with the leaders and did not take a stand to support the Paris Accords. He gave himself a week to discuss it and to think about it. And he came back home, and this is what he said.
I am fighting every day for the great people of this country. Therefore, in order to fulfill my solemn duty to protect America and its citizens, the United States will withdraw from the Paris Climate Accord Thank you. Thank you. But begin negotiations to re-enter either the Paris Accord or in really entirely new transaction on terms that are fair to the United States, its businesses, its workers, its people, its taxpayers. So we're getting out, but we will start to negotiate, and we will see if we can make a deal that's fair. And if we can, that's great. And if we can't, that's fine. As president, I can put no other consideration before the well-being of American citizens. The Paris Climate Accord is simply the latest example of Washington entering into an agreement that disadvantages the United States to the exclusive benefit of other countries, leaving American workers, who I love, and taxpayers to absorb the cost in terms of lost jobs, lower wages, shuttered factories, and vastly diminished economic production. Thus, as of today, the United States will cease all implementation of the non-binding Paris Accord and the draconian financial and economic burdens the agreement imposes on our country.
So, there you go. There you go. He just unilaterally decided that it's a bad idea and that this accord is actually going to cost American workers jobs and it's going to decrease economic production in America. And every fucking economist in the country knows he's completely and stupidly wrong. This does nothing. In fact, pulling out of the Paris Accords is the worst thing you can do if you want to have good jobs in America going forward in the energy sector. Even the CEO of Exxon said this was a bad idea. Exxon. Why? Because Exxon is investing in all of these new energy ideas. They're investing in solar and wind and all of these ideas. And without America being at the table with the rest of the world, we are going to suffer. Other parts of the world are going to develop the technologies and do the things that need to be done to meet this accord while America keeps burning coal and natural gas and doing stupid shit that destroys our fucking environment because this dumbass president thinks he's making some sort of political statement by jumping out of this accord. It's just really absurdity on its face. Of course, there were national leaders all over that came out against this. Justin Trudeau said in a statement, quote, "We are all custodians of this world. And that is why Canada will continue to work with the U.S. and the state at the state level and with other U.S. stakeholders to address climate change and promote clean growth." Scotland's First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon, called the decision irresponsible, saying, giving at POTUS, she did this on Twitter, given at POTUS irresponsible decision on at Paris Accord, all the more important that leaders like Governor Jerry Brown in California keep pressing on. The EU this is a quote from European Union Climate Action and Energy Commissioner Miguel Arias Cañete. The EU deeply regrets the unilateral decision by the Trump administration to withdraw from the U.S. from the Paris Agreement. Absolutely incredible that this buffoon actually did this. The Paris Climate Accord was not even what we need to do. It was about 1/5 of what needs to be done, and he could not even agree to that. The only people who were clapping were the people that he invited to the White House to sit in the Rose Garden while he gave this long and drawn-out explanation and speech. And they clapped, of course. They clapped for 15 seconds, giving him his moment of applause over this stupid fucking move. I just cannot explain how idiotic this is. And of course, next week, everything is going to come to a head in the Russia investigation, which Spicy has completely quit talking about. And this Paris Accord is going to be forgotten because all anybody's going to be talking about is James Comey and what he has to say about the Russian connections, of course. And Megyn Kelly, the new host on MSNBC's Sunday evening show, Megyn Kelly from Fox News just interviewed Vladimir Putin today on Friday, June 2nd, in St. Petersburg during an event. Megyn Kelly on stage interviewing Vladimir Putin. I suggest you Google that. It was quite interesting. Megyn Kelly is not much of a reporter. I just got to say that right now. She should have stayed at Fox News. Kind of pathetic. But there is somebody that spoke about this that I really want to play for you, so I'm going to do that. It's Bill Nye. Bill Nye, the science guy, of course, just destroys everything Trump said.
President Trump tried to inject some suspense when it comes to his decision on the Paris Climate Accord, tweeting that he will be making up his mind this week. But behind the scenes, Axios is reporting that Trump is telling close aides that a withdrawal from the Paris climate deal is an all but done deal. Progressives had been holding out hope that centrist forces in the White House, like Jared Kushner, could steer Trump in their direction. But the New York Times reporting this weekend that even Kushner, quote, instead of urging the president to keep the United States in the Paris Climate Accord, has come to believe the standards in the agreement need to be changed. Joining us now to discuss is Bill Nye, the science guy. He is the host of the Netflix original series, Bill Nye Saves the World. We may need you to do that, Bill. Set the scene for us. Donald Trump pulls America out of the Paris Climate Accord. What happens next?
Well, the two things. First of all, it's bad globally. We want the United States to be the world leader in technologies that will enable us to go from fossil fuel economy to a renewable economy. And people in the engineering community, if you check out the solutionsproject.org, for example, will tell you that there is enough renewable energy available to run the whole place right now if we just changed everything. And today is Memorial Day. And some disclosure, both of my parents are veterans of World War II. They're both buried at Arlington National Cemetery. And they resolved a world conflict in 5 years. So why couldn't we change the world's economy energy economy in 5 years? But the other sort of subtle backfire effect that's possible, California, by way of example, is the world's 6th largest economy. It's bigger than France. So if California were to decide that it doesn't want to do business with other countries or governments that don't abide by the agreement, California could have an enormous influence on the automobile industry, which would have enormous influence on the U.S. economy. This by way of example. Then if European countries and Asian countries decide that keeping this agreement whole is a worthy and important thing to do, they could effectively impose tariffs on the United States services, United States software. And so this thing could backfire in an economic way that I'm not sure anybody's really thought through.
I appreciate you bringing that up. Ted Cruz has written an opinion piece today saying that Donald Trump should withdraw, America should withdraw from the Paris Agreement. His arguments are not dissimilar to the one Donald Trump's made, and it fundamentally, they do sort of hew to an economic argument that it kills jobs and creates unnecessary regulation that hampers profitability. How do you fight back against that?
Well, with regard to Mr. Cruz, I just say I completely disagree with him. And he is notorious for cherry-picking climate data. It either reflects a profound ignorance of reading graphs or choosing to ignore a situation he does not wish to acknowledge. Now, in the state of Texas, whence Mr. Cruz hails, they now have 10% of their energy from the wind. This is in oil country, the oil patch. And by the way, last weekend, California reached a milestone where it had 2/3 of its energy on a Saturday, 2/3 of its energy from renewable sources, which is remarkable. So with respect to Mr. Cruz, I just completely disagree with him, and I don't want to go too far into this speaking for other people,
Sure.
but everybody in the
let me put a
climate change
question to
community
you
is very concerned about that point of view.
There's a question here that might be a different way to say it. What role does the United States have to play as a role model versus just doing stuff that is good for the economy and, by the way, as you've just described, quite possibly economically beneficial? In other words, is any of our role in the climate accord symbolic, or is it just stuff we should be doing?
Oh, it's both. It's first of all, we are the second largest producer of greenhouse gas emissions, the United States. And secondly, I think much more importantly, the United States is considered the world leader in technology. And by way of example, I give you NASA. National Aeronautics and Space Administration does things that nobody else can do. The only organization to land spacecraft on Mars, and so on and so on. So you want the United States to be the world leader in this, not to wait. Now, furthermore, just strictly economically, just talk about local jobs. You cannot outsource the erection of wind turbines. You got to do it where the wind turbines are going to be used. You cannot outsource the installation of photovoltaic panels. Yep. It has to be done here. So conservative estimates give us at least 3 million new jobs in the energy sector. I think if you interview people in the coal industry, people who mine coal, they don't look at it as something they want their kids or their grandkids to be doing. They want them to go on and do something better for the environment that is more sustainable, because although there is almost unlimited coal on Earth, the really good, easy to get to coal is going away, especially in areas like West Virginia. So this is in nobody's best interest. So I'm hoping that the people who advise the president in the next few days will remind him of all these extraordinary and, to the rest of us, obvious, apparent facts, and we can get to work and, may I say, save the world.
Bill, always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you. Happy Memorial Day.
And to you, sir. Bill Nye, the science guy. We'll be talking more about this in the coming days. It's, as Bill said, a crucial topic for us.
Thank you, Bill Nye, for explaining that so succinctly. He's very good at those things. My favorite skeptic. And Ali Velshi, one of my favorite announcers on MSNBC, and a Muslim. Which I appreciate much in these days of hating on Muslims. So that's it for our Trump odyssey for today. And I honestly think that was probably enough for Trump for today. I can't get more than 15 minutes or it drives me insane, pretty much. So I think now I am going to move on and play our sponsor messages. At Honey Badger Sungrown, they care about providing natural products. There are no chemical pesticides and no chemical fertilizers used in their cannabis grow, and they are motivated with a passion for natural cultivation. They take pride in sustainable and environmentally friendly cultivation and produce their product on the beautiful Willamette Valley floor. Honey Badger Cannabis is available at a number of dispensaries, including Grow High Station in Portland and Stash Cannabis Company in Beaverton. Ask for Honey Badger Sungrown products at your dispensary. You can visit them online at www.honeybadgersungrown.com. Are you interested in cannabis? Do you work in the industry? If so, you should pick up a copy of the Oregon Cannabis Connection newspaper, available at over 380 locations across Oregon. We cover cannabis news and provide solid information on cannabis in Oregon and nationwide. Find us online at www.occnewspaper.com or pick up a copy at one of our distribution locations. We offer an interactive map on our website for your convenience. Oregon Cannabis Connection, connecting the cannabis community in Oregon since 2010. All right, welcome back to the second half of Goddab Radio. We're going to cover some cannabis news now. Specifically, we are going to be covering news out of Oregon. We have good news. Oregon released the new cannabis testing and labeling rules. We had discussed that on the show in the past and how they were trying to change the cannabis testing rules on extracts specifically, most importantly, to make it just a single random annual test that the extractors had to do to pass muster with the state and be able to sell their extracts on the market. The individual batches of extract were not going to be tested under these proposed rules. And that's crazy because at least 26% of the batches had failed up to this point and were contaminated with pesticides. 26%. Some of the labs had reported 50 to 70% of the cannabis extracts, shatter, and oils that they were testing were coming back as positive or hot, they call it, for pesticides. Now, a couple of these pesticides were common pesticides that are allowed, but they were applied improperly, basically. So it does not appear that they're going to accept them. These new changes. They only allowed for remediation. They are going to allow remediation of the tainted concentrate so they can mix it with something else that doesn't have any taint to try to bring the parts per million levels down below what is acceptable. And the batch levels are going up to 15 pounds instead of 10 pounds. That seems reasonable enough to me. I'm not too concerned about the batch sizes so much, but I think if they're going to remediate, they should have to label it. They require no labeling, so you're not going to know if you're buying remediated concentrates. That's no good, for sure, no good. And of course, they did have a couple of labeling rules as well that they made some changes to, but generally they did not make any major shifts in the cannabis testing rules that they currently have in place in Oregon. So you can be assured that if it's sold at a store and says it doesn't have pesticides, that it's met the pretty rigorous standards that we have here in Oregon. Now, I had incorrectly commented that we have the most strict testing standards in the nation, and it turns out we don't. It turns out that those standards may be coming to California, but they still aren't in place in California yet. There are some standards in some New England states that are pretty high, and I think Nevada has accepted some really high standards. But I'm not sure how effectively they've implemented those standards yet. Oregon has been doing this now with labs at these standard levels for a good 6-8 months, which is pretty decent. And before that, we had standards that were set that they had to follow to test for pesticides. They didn't, but they didn't have standards that the labs had to be certified. So we now have that, and that's a big deal, having certified labs here. So that's exciting news that I wanted to make sure that we told everybody. There's some news out of Nevada that people are just not going to believe. I posted this story on Reddit. Conspiracy theories, or conspiracy is the thread on Reddit, and it just went off. Alcohol distributors block Nevada early cannabis sales in court. Yeah, can you believe that? So, after a hard-fought win to begin the early rollout of cannabis sales in Nevada, the alcohol industry blocked the July 1st planned start date in court on Wednesday. The judge's ruling extends the May 31st deadline for applications and also mandates that any licenses issued must be to, quote, a person holding a wholesale alcohol dealer license, unquote. Wow. The Independent Alcohol Distributors of Nevada filed a lawsuit which challenged the issuance of licenses in a way that broke with the language and intent of Question 2, the ballot measure that passed in November. Under the measure, cannabis was supposed to be regulated like alcohol, and the group further argued the language of the measure gave the right exclusively to alcohol distributors for the first 18 months of sale. Wow. Quote, the judge clearly gives a priority and exclusive license to alcohol distributors in order to promote the goal of regulating marijuana similar to alcohol, unquote. The temporary restraining order explained. The judge's ruling is likely to delay the July 1st launch. I'm sorry, the statute clearly gives a priority. The attorney for the distributors, Sam McMullen, told Las Vegas Review-Journal, quote, we just want to write our rightful place. We don't want to slow this down inordinately. The Nevada Tax Department did reach out to distributors early on. They seemed unprepared and apparently were generally indifferent to the idea. The RJ Review-Journal reported, the tax department reached out to all licensed alcohol wholesalers in the state soon after Question 2 passed to gauge their level of interest in distribution. The department said it only had a handful of dealers showed a lukewarm interest, and no concrete business plans were submitted for how those companies would distribute marijuana. Part of the issue the department cited was liquor distributors are licensed on the federal level, where marijuana remains illegal, and acting as a distributor of marijuana could put those licenses at risk. In March, the department decided that it would open the applications for distribution licenses beyond alcohol distributors. The tax department pushed through temporary rules earlier this year after legislation was pushed to do the same, which would help the state more quickly collect some of the expected $70 million in tax revenue to flow in for the first 2 years. That's a lot of tax revenue. Why wouldn't they want to start early, right? The Department of Taxation spokeswoman Stephanie Klapstein said, the department is reviewing the temporary restraining order with legal counsel, and we intend to defend our regulations to the fullest extent of the law. One current medical marijuana dispensary owner in Las Vegas has his own cultivation facility to supply his 3 dispensaries. He has created a vertically integrated business that does not need a third-party distributor forced upon him. Armin Yemingen, CEO of Essence Cannabis Dispensaries, told the RJ, it doesn't make any sense. Yes, I would agree with you, Armin. It does not make any sense at all. Wow. So the liquor guys in Nevada blocked the implementation of their early sales. That's just about amazing, really. I just can't believe it. Here's another story. The new study shows CBD is effective treatment for convulsive seizures, but it has side effects. This from Oregon Cannabis Connection. In a new study just released by the New England Journal of Medicine, researchers found a significant decrease in convulsive seizures for Dravet syndrome patients receiving cannabidiol, or CBD. Although the decreases in frequency of seizures was substantial, there were some significant side effects that were identified in the study. Dravet syndrome was spotlighted by Sanjay Gupta on CNN in 2013 when he traveled to Colorado and reported on Charlotte Figge, a little girl who suffers from the disease and was receiving treatment with high CBD cannabis extracts. A now famous high CBD strain, Charlotte's Web, was named after her by the company that produces her medicine. Funded by GW Pharmaceuticals and published online on May 25th of 2017, researchers showed the median frequency of seizures per month dropped by over half, from 12.4 to 5.9 in the CBD group of patients. 43% of patients had more than a 50% drop in frequency during the 14-week-long study. The clinical the Clinical Global Impressions Scale, or CGI scale, allows a clinician to quantify and track patient progress and treatment response over time. In this study, researchers found that CBD patients' overall condition was improved by one category on the 7-category CGI scale in 63% of patients. However, there were significant side effects in the CBD group that occurred more frequently than in the placebo group. The adverse side effects included diarrhea, vomiting, fatigue, pyrexia, somnolence, and abnormal results on liver function tests. The results also showed no significant reducing of non-convulsive seizures. Also, there are more CBD patients actually withdrew from the trial due to these side effects. The dose patients were administered was 20 milligrams of CBD per kilogram of body weight. At that proportion, a 50-pound child received about 450 milligrams of CBD in the study. The study concludes, quote, among patients with the Dravet syndrome, cannabidiol resulted in a greater reduction in convulsive seizure frequency than placebo and was associated with higher rates of adverse events, unquote. That's great. And we know that CBD is going to help with people with seizures. But again, they haven't studied it very well, and they need to do many more studies like this. This study did not study very many patients either. It was a small group. We need thousands, tens of thousands is what the FDA, of course, wants to see, right? Which, of course, makes sense. If you're going to have a serious study, then let's have a serious study with tens of thousands. Let's have it double blind. Let's do it right. Let's use real cannabis, not the crap that comes from the grow in Mississippi that the government has, full of mold. We reported on that on Goddab Radio 2 here. Let's get some real cannabis like we can grow here at a medical cannabis farm in Oregon, or concentrates that have no pesticides, because I know there's plenty of them out there. All right. And our last bit of cannabis news is our interview with Chris Holton with Indo Expo, which is going to be here in August. So here's that interview. So I'm here with Chris Holton from Indo Expo, which is an event that focuses on growing. That's going on here in Portland in the beginning of August, first days of August. Thanks for joining us, Chris.
Thank you, Keith.
Hey, I'm really glad you could join us, and tell us a little bit about your show and what makes it a little different than your typical trade show that you see for the cannabis industry.
So Indo Expo is a B2B industry cannabis show. It focuses primarily on growing of cannabis. Soil, lights, nutrients, trimmers, greenhouses, extractors, and then quite a bit of ancillary areas of the industry too. Everything from tourism to magazines and lawyers and CPAs, and so there really isn't any aspect of business that isn't being touched by the cannabis industry now. And I'm sure everyone that's in Oregon sees this happening. It's kind of changing the landscape. And so what we've done is we've put together a large platform where people can come together and network and share information and figure out what they're doing with their businesses and market their products or services. And we have about 300 exhibitors, and it's some of the larger companies in the industry. We deal with Grodan and House and Garden and Trim Pro and Precision and 5-8 and all that. We have a lot of large companies that people would recognize if they walk through any grocery store. It's all the products that are on the shelves.
Right.
So it's a great way to come and meet with the reps and go direct. It's also a great place for dispensaries to come and source stuff for their shops or stuff for their grows. So primarily we attract growers, dispensary owners, decision makers, in whatever respective business in the cannabis industry. And it's 2 days. It's August 5th and 6th in Portland at the Portland Expo. And it's a beautiful time to be in Portland. And we do a mixer on Saturday night. We're doing a big mixer at the Red Lion.
Oh, nice.
And, we probably expect to see about 5,000 industry people there. So it's just a great way for everyone to come together. Everyone from Cali up to Vancouver, BC, and it's a great show.
Yeah, you guys you're located well. Having it in Portland definitely is a great spot to be on the West Coast. I mean, you can kind of leave Los Angeles out of the picture, but you're going to catch everything from San Francisco and the Bay Area in California, like you said, all the way to British Columbia. I mean, that's I think
it's definitely a hotbed in here, and so Portland is nice and centrally located. We pull from Seattle, and we pull from everywhere down to San Francisco at least, and this is just where all the growers are going. This is where all the action is. So this has become a really great location for us. We do one summer show every year in August in Portland, and then we do a winter show at the end of January in Denver, and both those shows are really strong. And right now we're just focused on keeping those two shows as strong as we can.
Right. And everything's still sort of out west still a little bit, right? I mean, as far as the major parts of the industry are still kind of out west. Do you foresee possibly expanding your show somewhere out to the east, maybe in Florida or New York or something?
Someday we talk about it all the time. There's been some strong shows that have happened back in Massachusetts. With new states coming online, of course, it's an exciting thought to say let's rush off to do a show in Boston, or let's do a show in Maine, or let's do a show in Florida. But our show works better in places where the industry is established or where it's getting established, and Oregon is very much that kind of place.
Right.
There's just so much buzz. Everyone's gearing up, and that's the place where our show does well, and our exhibitors do well. If we go into a new state, we were fearful that we just end up getting a lot of tire kickers, investors, people that are window shopping but not buying, that type of stuff. They're coming to look at stuff and try to figure things out, but they're not all up in it yet.
Right. So how many years? You guys have been doing this for 4 years at least in Colorado, and you expanded out here a couple of years back?
Yeah, I think we're going on tail end of 3 years. We've done 4 shows in Denver, and this will be our second show. So this is our 6th show, and we just love the show in Portland. We came out here and just fell in love with Oregon, and ended up moving here and relocating our office, and we really put a lot into this Portland event. And it's all about getting the word out to everybody and getting people to come up and attend the event, which has been easier than we thought. And there's just a lot of excitement. It's like people seem to enjoy an event that gives them credibility and legitimizes the industry. And, this is a big deal. We're trying to help everyone kind of make this transition responsibly before we don't want it to get taken away, so we're trying to do things right, and we're trying to educate people, and we're trying to share knowledge, and it's not about how much money can you pay to be in the room with the information. We do free seminars and demonstrations and a mixer, and we want to bring people together. We want people to be able to get together and talk and figure things out.
Right.
So a trade show is a great place for that. A lot of industries trade shows aren't so hot, but this is a good this is a good industry to be in for trade shows. It really is.
Well, yeah, no kidding, right? Especially with all the people that are getting into it. I mean, there's no other time like this in any industry I can imagine in the last 100 years almost. I mean, you
see if you drive from Eugene to San Francisco, it's all cannabis the whole way. Whether you're going down the 5 or the 101, it's just everywhere. A lot of these big companies are based out of these areas too, so it's like a hometown show for a lot of the breeders and a lot of the soil companies and the nutrient guys and stuff. So it's also a big family. It's like we've been working with the same people for years now. We've gotten to know them all, and a lot of magic happens when you're talking with the right people. You can really put 2 and 2 together a lot faster than you can sitting at home trying to Google stuff or talking to your buddy.
Right. So
you can make things happen when you get in the room with the right people.
So at your event, you're going to have you got all these vendors and stuff, but you also have some presentations that go on, and you have some.
We do. We have a bunch of seminars that are happening. It's everything from mitigated pest management to marketing and HR, greenhouse growing. We do whole tracks on seminars on extraction and concentrates. We do some stuff on regulation, which may not sound so exciting, but to people that are in the industry, it's very relevant to know what you're up against.
No, that's important, you know.
Yeah, and all our seminars are complimentary. They come with the pass. And if you're in the industry, if you own a dispensary or hydro store or garden center, and you want to attend the show, it's complimentary to attend the show if you're in the industry. And then outside of that, if you're looking to get into the industry, you can purchase a weekend pass and come up to the show, and all that information is on our website, indoexpo.com. And so we're not turning anybody away. Everyone's invited. The people that are in the industry getting complimentary. And,
wow, that's really good.
And it's for the entire weekend. It's for the entire event, and it's kind of a must-attend event. You know, it's just a really fun weekend, and you can make a lot of things happen. It's well worth the trip. Even if I had lived in San Francisco, I'd make the trip up.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine any other event that I can recall that offers complimentary attendance for anybody on that kind of scale. I mean, because you're going to have half of your attendees or more that are going to be industry people, I'm assuming.
That's right, and that's because we, instead of doing the big pot circus, let's sell everything, get celebrities, and charge everybody. We charge the seminar speakers, we charge at the door, we charge the exhibitors. We decided that what's important to us is getting strong business for our exhibitors. So anyone that's legitimately in the cannabis industry, we want there, and they're coming and they're shopping shows, and they're shopping the show, and they're networking with these exhibitors. So we look at that as we're not looking to make money off our gate. We're looking to make money selling exhibit space, and it's kind of it's a symbiotic relationship. You have to have attendees to get large exhibitors, and you have to have large exhibitors to get attendees. So we realized that at a pretty young age, and we've put all our energy into making sure we get the right people there. So we want all these growers there from all the farms all over the place. We want you guys to come up, meet these reps, go direct to these guys, and save yourself some money. And, I mean, you can come and look at 20 different types of trimmers or extractors or greenhouses in one weekend, and you can figure out, this is what I want to run with. This is the right guy. And, oh, look, he's even based out of the town right next to me. And, oh, he's going to give me a killer deal now. Like, this is, I'm glad I came. This is, if you're in the industry and you're growing, and your objective is to keep growing your business, then it's a show that you want to be at for sure.
Yeah, that's just amazing to me. To be quite honest, I think that's just awesome, and it makes sense then because it's going to encourage you to bring in good vendors, just like you mentioned, so that the vendors are getting contact with people that are important that they need to contact with. So
that's right.
I think it just sounds like a win-win all the way around. And Portland being centrally located is awesome, and that sounds great. That sounds great, Chris. I'm really glad you guys are doing this.
The whole landscape is kind of changing. You know what I mean? The closet growing, that kind of, it's really moving quickly. So everybody, even the guys that know exactly what they're doing, everyone can use a little help navigating, the industry right now. So it really is priceless when you get together with these people and figure some things out. And that's what we did. We wanted to be a really strong community platform where people can just come together and share and network, and that's it. That's really what we do.
Right. And and you're not really aiming this show at like your typical for lack of a better word, stoner that's just looking to hang out and go to a cool event. You're aiming this more at people that are more seriously interested in cannabis industry.
Exactly. It's not the show. So we break it down as either a business show or an industry show, or it's a consumer show.
Right.
So you've got a lot of fun consumer type events that already happen where there's music and a festival and some vendors. That is not what we do at all. We're a B2B trade show, and it's not the right show to come just to pick up a $5 pipe and a tie-dye or whatever. It's not that. It's you're coming to look at $250,000 extractors and greenhouses and different nutrients, and people are dealing in tankers and totes, and it's on the larger side of things.
Well, so I guess have you sold all of your vendor spaces?
We we probably have, I think, about 75 booths left, which is amazing. So we're guaranteed to sell out. We'll end up selling 300 booths.
Okay.
We have
So
26 sponsorships right now. And like I said before, we have some of the biggest names in the industry already exhibiting with us. So, but that being said, you show up and then you find out every time I'm walking my own show and going, oh my God, what is this? I don't even know what this is. This is amazing. So I get turned on every time I'm walking on our own floor.
Right, right.
It's really impressive to see the things that are coming out, the ideas that people are coming up with. Every time you think, well, there can't be anything else, then the next day, here it is. I never in a million years thought I'd see this kind of product. So there's some really cool stuff happening, and it's just moving very quickly. So these types of events really help people out, and they help them figure out what they're doing.
And you said this is what's the cost going to be for the folks that are not yet in the industry and are going to have to pay? What's the price at the door?
We do a weekend pass for $199, and I believe on Sunday is so Saturday is just industry. It's just industry, or you can buy a weekend pass. Sunday is open to the public. It's industry, but it's open to the public. And I believe the tickets are $40. You can get them a little more affordably if you go to rush49.com. It's somewhat of like a Groupon type thing, but they're selling tickets a little bit cheaper.
Okay.
And you can also buy tickets at the gate when you get there.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so it's in North Portland at the Portland Expo. What's cool about it is that it's right there next to the bridge that goes over to Jansen Beach or Hayden Island. And the island that's in between Oregon and Washington in the river there. Right. And it's just a really cool spot. You can you're away from the traffic and you're up there. It's beautiful. You're by the water. So everyone's staying on the island and
even though it's way up,
the expo.
Just for listeners, even though it's way up north in Portland, it is at the end of the yellow Max line. So if you get on the yellow TriMet Max train, the last stop of the train is at the Portland Expo for the people who didn't know that. So there's definitely easy public transportation to get out there. You don't even have to drive if you don't want, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's true, and we actually promote that. We put it on our posters and tell everyone take the Max to the show. Another thing is too, if anyone that is listening is in the industry, they own a dispensary, a hardware store, a garden center, and they're interested in registering, they can go on to our website and register to attend. And it's just a quick little form, but it'll get them pre-registered, and it'll help expedite them to get through the gate faster. And it'll just fast track and just walk right in.
Okay, that's a really good
So I highly
tip.
suggest people registering ahead of time.
Pre-register.
So that you're not stuck in line because we get hammered. We get a lot of people show up.
Right. And your website is indoexpo.com?
That's correct.
Simple. That's INDOEXPO.com. And this is going on when again in August?
It's going on August 5th and 6th in Portland at the Portland Expo.
August 5th and 6th in Portland. Excellent, Chris. That's really great. I'm glad you could be on our podcast today to let people know about this. And we're going to spread the word.
Appreciate the plug.
Oh, no problem at all. We'll spread the word and let everybody know. So thanks for being on.
Awesome. Thank you, Keith.
All right. I hope you guys enjoyed that interview. That sounds like it's going to be a really awesome event going on at the Portland Expo, which again is at the end of the Yellow Max line here in Portland. So you're going to have to check it out if you can. I think that it's going to be a really great event. And don't forget the complimentary tickets if you're in the industry. It doesn't cost you anything to get in. And you should pre-register online at indoexpo.com. I hope you guys enjoyed our show today. We had a good debunk at the beginning and a good interview this week. And of course, Trump never fails to provide us with crazy commentary. And of course, you can get us every Friday at 3 p.m. You can find our podcast on all the usual places, which includes iTunes, includes TuneIn, Amazon Music Play, Google Music Play, Amazon, iHeartRadio now, we're on that too. So you can get us all over. And most importantly, you can just go to goddabradio.com That's goddabradio.com. And you can download, or you can sign up for our, subscribe to our show, and you'll get it every week in your email box. So until next week, enjoy yourselves, guys, and smoke a fatty for me.